The Armenian National Committee of America has been active in the United States as long as there have been Armenians in the United States. Dating back to the 1890s, the early Armenian immigrants organized to protest the oppression of the Armenian population in the Ottoman Empire, to provide relief to the victims of the crimes being committed against the Armenian nation. This, of course, took on a very concrete form during the genocide itself, when Armenians in the U.S. provided unprecedented relief to the victims of the genocide, organized the American world, American civic leaders, American religious leaders, American charitable and government leaders, into what's called the American Committee for the Independence of Armenia, a world-class group of American leaders who organized to protest the destruction of the Armenian nation, to call for justice for the Armenian people, to restore the Armenian independence. And this was a very, very powerful movement organized through the help of Vahan Kardashian, a great leader in the history of the Armenian lobby.
A lawyer who pretty much was a one-man Haitat committee, pursuing throughout the United States, and in particular in Washington, the Armenian cause. He operated for a number of years, pursuing the justice for the Armenian people, justice for the genocide. Tremendous work that he had to do pretty much on his own because, of course, as we know, the Armenians here in America, for the most part, were new immigrants who hadn't even learned the language, and so it was up to him. He prepared on his own these memoranda that he presented, in this case, to the Secretary of State of the United States, presenting the Armenian demands, what the Armenian case was, the scope of the Armenian case, what the crime was that was committed, and why the United States, as a country dedicated to justice, should take action on it. This is dated 1929, to give you some idea, the amount of work then. There were no computers then, there were no even copy machines then. This is something that had to be done by hand on a typewriter. And that was the work that Vahan Kardashian did. Here is a similar petition to the Attorney General of the United States, again prepared by Vahan Kardashian. This was the work he did until his death, all too early. Well, one of the activities that Kardashian was actively involved in, which carried on after his death, was the American Committee for the Independence of Armenia. This was, as this name indicates, was an American committee made up predominantly of some of the most prominent Americans, college presidents, United States senators, judges, major business figures, etc., who spoke out for the Armenians, for not just relief for the Armenians, but justice and reparations for what had happened to the Armenian people. And this was the major activity of Haitat during the 1920s and 30s.
During the genocide, the American Committee for the Independence of Armenia and the Armenian National Committee, our early affiliates at that time, worked nationwide to provide relief to the victims of that crime, to generate an American constituency to protest the destruction of Armenian lives, and to restore Armenia's independence, to oppose the Treaty of Lausanne, to oppose the partition of Armenia. Sadly, these efforts were not successful. We generated untold sympathy for the Armenian people, but not the geopolitical leverage, not the political power that we needed to restore Armenia's independence. And of course, we saw the partition of our homeland, which continued for 7 or more decades.
In the 1950s, it was actually the ARF that reformed the ACIA as a Haitat committee that began pursuing the same work of pursuing justice of Haitat work in the United States. And of course, the turning point, as many of us know, for that was 1965, the 50th anniversary of the Armenian Genocide, where for 50 years the Armenians had basically commemorated their genocide, mourned their genocide in their churches and in their homes. For the first time as a community in 1965, and it took 50 years for the community to recover, for the first time they went public.
The Armenians throughout the world are observing the 50th anniversary of the wholesale massacre of 1,500,000 innocent people in Turkey in 1915.
That was the declaration of the Foreign Minister of Cyprus, Spiros Kyprianou, before the General Assembly on January the 25th, 1965.
By 1975, on the 60th anniversary, you had the first Armenian Genocide resolution that was passed by the U.S. House, commemorating April 24th, 1975 as Man's Inhumanity to Man Day, and particularly noting the Turkish genocide of the Armenians. And this began a phase where you had the ANC, which the AC had now been renamed as the Armenian National Committee, becoming the single most active Armenian, if not the only Armenian lobby group in Washington at the time, doing the early work of developing relations with congressmen, with senators, developing the beginnings of the Armenian caucus, congressmen and senators who could be relied on to speak out for the Armenian people.
Our energies since the period of the genocide, of course, have been focused for justice for that crime, for the independence of Armenia during the long years of the Cold War, and of course, since 1988 and the Nagorno-Karabakh movement and the independence of Armenia and the tragic earthquake, on the strengthening of Hayastan, the defense of Nagorno-Karabakh, our viability in a very, very difficult neighborhood, seeking to lift the Turkish Naziri blockades, seeking to end Turkey's denials, trying to build up an Armenian economy that can support a powerful military and that will be able to defend itself against some very hostile neighbors. So these are our challenges today. They're very complex. If 40 or 50 years ago, the Armenian cause could be described as Azad Hayastan, free Armenia, or justice for the genocide. Those were ideals that we strived for, that we taught our children to believe in, that we generated great awareness across the American political spectrum for. Today, the issues are even more complex. They involve the economic strengthening of Hayastan through trade agreements, through foreign assistance, through World Bank loans, through all sorts of international agreements and trade arrangements that strengthen our homeland. Then on top of that, you have the defense of Nagorno-Karabakh and pushing back on the heavy oil industry pressure, the heavy Turkish Naziri lobbying to try to force a resolution, to try to impose an unfair, unjust resolution on the people of Nagorno-Karabakh. Then you have the genocide question, and you have to deal with the Turkish lobby and the defense industry and all their various allies in the United States, including their very high-priced lobbyists. So these are the types of challenges that we face. Of course, the community in Javak, the Armenian community in Georgia, and the challenges they face, economic and otherwise. These are the sort of the vast array of Armenian issues we face, and we've grown to meet those challenges. As our challenges have become more complicated, we've grown to meet those challenges. Our community has stepped up, provided us the resources, provided us the talent, provided us the time and energy that we need to do whatever is needed. As Armenians in America, we're the heirs to a proud legacy, a legacy of giving, of sacrifice, of progress for the Armenian cause. For all those who've helped make that possible, we're deeply appreciative. For those people who work in our chapters, who visit the ANC website, who attend ANC events, who take part in the hundreds of Armenian National Committee programs across the country. They are our very soul, our very heart. They are the ones who provide us with the energy and the drive and the determination and the commitment to move forward, and we're deeply appreciative for that. For those who are yet to become active in the Armenian National Committee, whether it's as a donor or an activist or as a member of a chapter or in any capacity, we say to you that there is absolutely no better investment in the Armenian cause. There's no better way to move the Armenian cause forward in America than to support the Armenian National Committee.